We're shifting gears a bit today, guys. Not usual endurance road race stuff. We're going to be focusing on street car. This is my 1988 Monte Carlo SS. It's got a turbo 4.8 liter LS swap in it, 4L80E transmission, 4 9-inch rear end, pretty good street car. GT45 turbo, pretty budget stuff, pretty normal. Everything's home built. ECU is a Mega Squirt 3X, so it's a DIY one. Built this car probably 6 or 7 years ago, and then moved and built the shop and built the race truck, and that put this thing on back burner. So really this car's been in the back of some videos, but it hasn't seen the road since 2016, I want to say, or the racetrack. So this is the year I want to get it back going. So making this video about the 10 things I hate about my turbo Monte Carlo SS in order to keep me motivated and keep me honest. Here we go. All right, so here's the engine bay, nothing special. It's a truck iron block. As I said, GT45 turbo. Just kind of built it backyard and on a budget, but it works. With a little bit of mods, it's gonna be pretty perfect, I think. But the number one thing, so the first thing on the list of 10 things I hate is the wire harness. Not the harness itself, but the fact that I didn't really finish it and I didn't loom it. So it kind of looks like junk. It looks like a rat's nest hiding in back there, all the way through across to the injector. So the harness itself is decent, just needs to be finished and loomed. All right, so moving in the car, obviously it's a bit of a work in progress. I started this project probably 6 months ago and obviously didn't make it very far, but the number 2 thing that I really hate about this car is the factory dash didn't work at all. And these mechanical gauges, so those are mechanical, like there's an oil pressure line coming inside the car to feed this gauge to monitor oil pressure. Same with there's a water sender. These are like the standard cheap style gauges you can buy. I really don't like that. It's not safe, it's not ideal. So what I'm going to now is, and I'm in the middle of working on it, not currently, but we're going to a Raspberry Pi touchscreen 7-inch dash. So that's gonna inlay there back in the factory location, and I'll be able to modify tunes. I'll be able to keep an eye on all the parameters of the car. It's really fit in there very easy right now. But yeah, so in the middle of that project right now, so that's why you don't really see how it was before, but it was just a factory cluster that didn't work at all. Plus those mechanical gauges, that stuff's got to go. Another thing on the list before I leave the interior, this B&M shifter, it's kind of cool, but it doesn't seem to work. I don't know if the cable's stretched, what the deal is. When I was racing it, I would constantly skip from 1 to 3. I would miss second gear completely, and I don't know why. So I'm just, it's kind of dated too, I guess. So instead of just trying to mess with it more, I've had the car up, jacked it up, tried to adjust the cable a bunch of times. It might be stretched. You'd think it would not shift, but who knows? Anyways, I got a replacement coming for this sucker. All right, so one thing that drives me nuts on this car, you can see it from 100 feet away. It's probably my biggest pet peeve, is the wheel tire combo. I really like the soft 8s, Krager soft 8s that it has, but they're heavy and the tire setup just doesn't work with the car. It's 235/45 square setup, so it's the same size all around. And the front doesn't look too bad. They're a little small, but the back really just doesn't fill the wheel well at all and looks kind of goofy. So I cannot wait to change that. I never drag raced on this setup, but this is my street setup. And as you can tell, it's really like a small tire for this car, and my biggest problem is the height of it. So I think something with a little bit more meat, fill that wheel well a little bit better. This car does sit pretty low, but it just doesn't have the right stance. I think this is a big mistake that a lot of people make on their cars. I was one of them. Left the trunk locked. So as I was saying, big mistake people make is not modifying their factory tank and cheaping out and buying a plastic cell. I thought this was a better idea for an EFI car. You You want the sump in the bottom so the fuel runs to it. Well, the factory carbureted car doesn't have that. This seemed like a better solution at the time. Didn't think I needed trunk space. Well, as a street car, you kind of do. It's nice to have. And this freaking fuel cell cap thing is just a finger killer. So super tight, super pain in the ass. I did get one with a fuel gauge, which was a good, you know, I didn't cheap out that far, but this is still, this has got to go. So going back to a factory style tank with a sump. All right, so we'll go under the car now. This is nothing special, but it's fairly decent shape for Canadian car. But the number one thing underneath that's driving me insane is there's no suspension limiters for the rear end. So actually when I lift it on the lift, if I don't ratchet strap the rear end in place, the springs will fall out. So that's kind of goofy and a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna put some travel limiters there, just so that the springs aren't popping out. These shocks are probably shot too, but that's not necessarily on the list. Moving forward, big thing that's been driving me nuts while it's parked is the transmission leak. This transmission unfortunately leaks right from this plug here, and that's not on the outside, that's on the inside. Pins, I guess, are not seated properly. Something must have happened. This transmission was rebuilt, but they never replaced that harness, so I got to go in there and change that harness out to get a new connector. Stop the leak. Moving on up here. This is my biggest thing that I hate about driving the car, is I cheaped out and I bought a stock replacement torque converter for now. And that was the silliest decision I ever made, because I'd rather not drive the car than drive it on the stock converter. I can't get up on two-step. I can't leave from a light. I think my 60 foots were like 2.6 seconds or something, which if you know anything about drag racing, that's ridiculously slow. My pickup truck that I towed the car with was faster, so that's a big one, and it's just gotta go. Over at the front of the car, remember what I said about being young and not really knowing what I was doing? Well, I got this vent line here, which looks innocent enough, but I think it's the PCV, no catch can, and look where it is, right in front of the right front tire, so that makes a lot of sense. And then finally, our roads aren't very good here in Northern Ontario, and you can see this sump on the oil pan hangs significantly lower than the cross member on a low car. That really kind of sucks. So I was sometimes scared to drive it. You can see, I think you can see anyways, I've already just grazed the ground, and being cast aluminum, that thing's not very strong. So having that little mark in the oil pan really scared me from continuing to drive it. So yeah, but that's about it. I think that'll about wrap up this video. That's the 10 things I hate about my turbocharged Monte Carlo SS. Stay tuned for a few videos. We're gonna fix all this stuff. We'll report back, and maybe I'll find another few things I don't like, but for now, that's it. If you like this video, like it down below, subscribe, share, whatever you gotta do. If you don't like this video and you just wanna see race truck stuff, let me know in the comments. Hopefully we're gonna get together with Mars again soon, and John, and get some work done. But this quarantine's really been killing us, so that's why you got a couple videos with just me. But otherwise, until then, I promise the truck's still around, sitting right there. Nothing's happening to it, but we'll do another video shortly on what we're doing with that thing. It's only mid-February when I'm recording this right now, so we got plenty of time till April. That's what we tell ourselves anyways. Till next time, cheers.